Good day! We are the presenters from Emilio Aguinaldo College, Cavite, Senior High School, Cluster 4B. I am Shaira Katada,
I'm Katrina Almaden.
and we are here to present our study entitled Perpetration of Air Ink, an experimental study on the conversion of polluted air from the vehicle's exhaust pipe into ink. People have been using electricity, oil, gasoline, natural gas, and the likes for their daily needs such as transportation, cooking, and whatnots. They acquire these energies from the burning of fossil fuels, which aside from being non-renewable, is also very harmful to both environment and public health. Fossil fuels are also used in vehicles for transportation that greatly contributes to the emission of air pollution and the formation of harmful particulate matter, which is the soot. And for that, a group of innovative scientists and also the founder of Gravity Labs saw this as an opportunity to make something useful out of this pollution, and that is the creation of air ink. It is an ink converted from pollution, specifically from diesel-fueled vehicles. This may also lessen the conventional production of ink, which also requires the burning of fossil fuels and utilize the use of a very harmful and toxic pigment, which is the carbon black. However, previous studies lack on determining the conversion of air pollution to ink in a more convenient way, which is the objectives of this research.
How much air pollution comes from cars? When cars burn gasoline, they emit pollutants. These pollutants are the foreign substances or impurities that escape into the air and causing health complications to humans. The four major pollutants of car emission are carbon dioxide, hydrocarbon, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter. These pollutants contribute to different sorts of air contamination and triggers the amount of carbon dioxide in the air to hike excessively, thus leads to global warming. The percentage of air pollution coming from cars are proven to be higher in urban areas, and it is considered by the Environmental Protection Agency as the major mobile source of air pollution. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, one-third of the pollution in the United States is resulted from the vehicles on the road, and about 20% of greenhouse gas emission is caused by the operation of transportation. Researchers produce high-quality ink from air pollution. As stated by Law 2017, a group of researchers from Massachusetts Institute of Technology claimed that the air pollution coming from cars can be converted into high-quality ink. They created a device called Kaalink, which functions to filter the air and trap the soot inside the device so it can be recycled and converted into high-quality ink. They claim that 3 pence worth of ink can be made by a minute of continuous car emission, and about 30 milliliters of ink can be produced by 45 minutes of driving. Ink. The New World Encyclopedia contributors in 2018 discuss how ink is made. Ink is, ink is composed of pigments and dyes which are used in coloring surfaces and creating images and text. Making ink requires the use of carbon black, an air-polluting particulate matter made from burning of fossil fuels. This gives them the conclusion that the involvement of carbon black in the production of ink contributes to the aggravation of air pollution. Air pollution, everything you need to know. Air pollution is entirely made up of two harmful substances, namely the smog and soot. Exposure to smog can cause irritation in the eye, throat, and damage to lungs. It is even worse for people who have allergies and asthma. The soot, being tiny in appearance, is extremely dangerous as the particles that are in it can penetrate to the lungs and which may lead to heart attacks and even death.
With the purpose of reducing the propagation of polluted air emanated by a vehicle's exhaust pipe, as well as to lessen the harmful conventional production of ink, this study sets to conduct these procedures in a more convenient way by making a device that would minimize the said conditions. This study was administered with a lot of trials and manipulations, thus utilizing the quantitative experimental research design to ensure that the air pollution, being the independent variable, without doubt affects the dependent variable or the ink.
The researchers conducted the experiment. They recorded the data through observational tests, which involves direct observation and investigation engaging the use of senses. The first trial, which lasted for 10 minutes, collected 7 grams of soot, with its opacity being classified as 1, which means lighter. The second trial, which lasted for 20 minutes, collected 14 grams of soot, with its opacity being classified as 2, which means light. The third trial, which lasted for 45 minutes, collected 30 grams of soot, with its opacity being classified as 3, which means heavy.
Upon conducting the experiment, the researchers first gathered the needed materials, which were the crushed mussel shells, activated carbon filter, charcoal bits, fabric filter, and others. Each of these materials eliminates certain contaminants within the polluted air that is considered dangerous and toxic. After making the device and executing some procedures which consequentially collects the filtered pigment, it is then mixed with alcohol-based substances like vodka and vinegar to produce an ink.
This study utilized the use of one-way analysis of variance. In the 2018 study by layered statistics, this is applied to statistically determine the differences between groups and within groups.
Within this table are the data of the characteristics and its sum and average that was extracted from the experimentation. Time being the first attribute has garnered a sum of 100 and an average of 25. Grams with a sum of 68 and an average of 17. And lastly, opacity having a sum of 8 and an average of 2. The researchers computed the data using the formula of the analysis of variance, which gives us the values within the second table. The sum of squares between and within groups are 1090.67 and 930, thus having the total of 2020.67, while the degree of freedom between and within groups are 2 and 9, thus having a total of 11. Provided with these values, the researchers were able to calculate the p-value, which is 0.03044. Obtaining these results, the researchers then decided to reject the null and to not reject the alternative hypothesis.
After analyzing and interpreting the data collected and by the use of the ANOVA test, the researchers came up with the findings to answer the statement of the problem. For the first question, is there a significant difference among the trials? Yes, there is a significant difference among the trials, given that the result of the ANOVA test has a computed p-value of 0.03044, which indicates that it is statistically significant and only have 3% probability of occurring by chance alone. This has been supported by the study of O'Hanlon 2013, as he claimed that the opacity of a paint is affected by several factors such as the physical characteristics, the amount of pigment present, and the variation of the applied film. For the second question, how will the soot be collected from the vehicle's tailpipe? The soot is collected from the vehicle's tailpipe through a device composing of 4 filters, which helps in trapping the soot and restraining the contaminants found in the polluted air. This is aligned with the study conducted by Guido Schaffner, as he claimed that a diesel particulate filter that is capable of trapping the soot and restraining the contaminants found in the polluted air has effectively followed the restricted emission standards. This study came up with 3 conclusions. The first one states the trials made to be statistically significant due to the result of the ANOVA test and the variation shown in the opaqueness of the soot. Next, the device used in the experiment is effective as it successfully trapped the soot and filtered the air coming from the car's exhaust pipe. Lastly, the null hypothesis, which states that the polluted air cannot be converted into ink in a more convenient method, is rejected, while the alternative hypothesis, which affirms that the polluted air can be converted into ink in a more convenient method, is not rejected.
This study is recommended to students for they are one of the main consumer of inks. Artists, for this ink is much cheaper than store-bought ones and has a great quality to be used for the purpose of art, and for future researchers to further innovate the product. This study will be essential to the said entities.
With the prevalence of one of the major contributor to climate change, this study is conceptualized to diminish the adverse effect of air pollution and as well as to provide an alternative way in the conventional production of ink. The researchers are hoping that this study will be able to provide betterment, be reinforced with the help of certain authorities, and be seen from a wider perspective.
Again, I am Shaira Katada,
And I'm Katrina Almaden.
and thank you for listening to our presentation.